Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Nick Bosa signing with the Miami Dolphins has instantly shaken the entire foundation of the AFC, sending shockwaves across the league and putting quarterbacks on high alert. The moment the deal was announced, fans, analysts, and even rival players understood that something massive had shifted in the balance of power. Bosa is not just another edge rusher. He's a relentless machine built to destroy offensive lines and collapse pockets in the blink of an eye. His move to Miami isn't only about statistics or contracts. It's about setting a tone, planting a flag, and sending a very public message that the Dolphins aren't content to just compete. They're aiming to dominate. Imagine walking into Hard Rock Stadium knowing that number 97 is standing there, eyes locked on you, with nothing but bad intentions. That's the new reality for quarterbacks across the AFC. From young stars trying to prove themselves to veterans protecting legacies, everyone is now forced to adjust their game plans around a man who openly declared he's coming for them. Miami didn't just sign a player. They unleashed a storm that has already begun to ripple far beyond South Florida. The way Nick Bosa presented himself in the press conference was a statement all by itself. He didn't speak like someone who had simply joined a new team. He spoke like a soldier preparing for battle, a warrior sharpening his blade before stepping into enemy territory. His words weren't sugar-coated. They weren't softened for media comfort. Instead, he looked straight into the cameras and declared war on every quarterback in the AFC. "They better be ready," he said, as calmly as if he were discussing the weather, but with an intensity that sent chills down the spine of anyone watching. It wasn't arrogance, it was conviction, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Bosa thrives on pressure. He thrives on being the villain in someone else's story, and now he has a stage big enough to unleash his fury. This isn't a man joining a team quietly to blend in. This is a man coming in to take control of narratives, to create chaos, to establish dominance from day one. And if you know Bosa, you know he's not bluffing. What this move symbolizes for the Dolphins is far bigger than just filling a gap on defense. It represents ambition, a bold statement that Miami is tired of waiting its turn and tired of being overshadowed by the likes of Buffalo or Kansas City. Signing Bosa is not just a roster decision. It's a cultural reset. It's the front office essentially saying, "We're no longer content with being a good team. We're here to be feared." For too long, the Dolphins have flirted with relevance without fully seizing it. But now with Bosa in the mix, that narrative changes overnight. His presence will elevate not just the defense, but the entire locker room. Players feed off energy like his. Coaches adjust their confidence when they know they have a weapon like him on the field, and fans rally behind an identity that screams toughness and relentlessness. This is Miami grabbing the spotlight and refusing to let go. When you think about the modern NFL arms race, this is the kind of aggressive, fearless move that shifts trajectories and forces every other contender to rethink their own strategies. Quarterbacks across the conference, from Josh Allen to Joe Burrow to Patrick Mahomes, are now reevaluating their calendars and their expectations when it comes to facing Miami. You can practically feel the nervous laughter in locker rooms, coaches reviewing tape late into the night, offensive linemen whispering about how they'll handle this monster in teal and orange. The AFC is already stacked with powerhouse offenses and generational quarterback talent. But what Bosa brings is the ultimate counterbalance. He disrupts rhythm, he eliminates comfort, and he forces quarterbacks to think twice before holding the ball that extra second. The ripple effect is enormous. Teams may now adjust their draft strategies, prioritize quicker releases, or even alter blocking schemes entirely just because of his presence. That's the level of fear a player like Bosa instills. He doesn't just play the game. He changes the way the game is played against him. And in a league where the smallest adjustments mean the difference between winning and losing, his arrival could tilt the AFC landscape in ways no one saw coming just weeks ago. The Dolphins fan base, already electric with passion, has erupted into celebration, and you can sense this isn't just excitement. It's belief. Social media has been flooded with clips of Bosa highlights rebranded in Dolphins colors, fans chanting his name, and bold predictions of what's to come. Some are already calling this the move that finally puts Miami back in Super Bowl conversations. Others are even more confident, suggesting the Dolphins just became the most feared defense in the entire league. While it may sound like hype, there's substance behind it. Bosa isn't a flashy signing meant to sell jerseys, though that will undoubtedly happen in droves. He's a cornerstone piece, a relentless force that makes every other part of the defense sharper and more confident. For fans who have waited years, even decades, to see Miami step out of the shadow of mediocrity, this is validation. This is proof that the organization is not only listening but acting boldly, daring to take the risks required to achieve greatness. And the fans are ready to follow every step of the journey. Still, beyond the excitement and the headlines, there's a darker undercurrent to all of this, a sense that the league has just been given a new villain to reckon with. When Bosa declared war on quarterbacks, it wasn't a friendly warning. It was a promise. Rival fans already despised the Dolphins' flashy style and Miami swagger, and now with Bosa leading the charge, that disdain is about to reach new heights. In every away game, boos will rain down on him. Offensive linemen will scheme to double-team him. Quarterbacks will scramble faster than they'd like. Yet, Bosa has always thrived as the villain. He embraces the hostility, uses it as fuel, and seems to only grow stronger the more people root against him. This dynamic sets up one of the most fascinating storylines in recent NFL memory. The rise of a superstar not just as a defensive anchor, but as the face of an aggressive, unapologetic Miami team hungry for respect. Whether you love it or hate it, you won't be able to ignore it. The storm has arrived, and it wears number 97. When you think about the AFC as a whole, the ripple effects of Nick Bosa joining the Dolphins go far beyond Miami's locker room. Rival general managers are scrambling to analyze what this means for roster construction, because suddenly the path to the Super Bowl just got a lot more complicated. Teams that once relied on their quarterback's arm to carry them through now have to prioritize protection like never before. Draft boards might shift toward offensive linemen. Free agency strategies might pivot toward securing veteran blockers, and coordinators are sketching new ways to get the ball out quicker. That's the kind of gravitational pull Bosa brings. He's not just a player. He's a problem every opponent must solve before they can even think about winning games. And while the AFC has seen plenty of dominant defenders in recent years, none have entered the conference with this kind of public declaration of intent. By saying out loud that quarterbacks are his target, Bosa has turned his arrival into a psychological battle as well as a physical one. He's living rent-free in the minds of players and coaches before even stepping on the field in a Dolphins uniform. There's also the question of how Bosa's arrival impacts Miami's own locker room dynamics. A star of his magnitude doesn't just slide in unnoticed. He shifts the balance of leadership. Veterans on the defense now have to recalibrate, recognizing that while they've been anchors for years, Bosa's presence demands the spotlight. But rather than creating tension, insiders suggest this could unify the squad even further. Imagine a secondary knowing the quarterback has no time to throw because Bosa is hunting him down. Imagine linebackers freed to roam and attack because the line is being collapsed on every play. The ripple effect transforms not only strategy but morale. Miami's defense is suddenly infused with swagger, belief, and purpose. Younger players who may have been hesitant will now carry themselves differently, emboldened by the presence of a true superstar. Even on the offensive side of the ball, Tua Tagovailoa and company can breathe easier knowing they don't always need to score 30 points to win. A defense with Bosa doesn't just contain, it suffocates, and that allows the entire team to play freer, bolder, and with sharper edges than before. National media outlets are already circling this story, amplifying every angle, because it has the perfect recipe for drama. A superstar defender in his prime, a franchise desperate for national respect, and a conference filled with quarterbacks who will now be hunted week after week. Debate shows are exploding with hot takes, some claiming the Dolphins instantly become the scariest defense in the NFL, others doubting whether one man can shift an entire balance of power. Yet, even those skeptics acknowledge the psychological impact of Bosa's words. Declaring war on quarterbacks wasn't a slip of the tongue, it was a declaration of identity. Miami, long seen as flashy but soft, now carries an edge, a nastiness that fans have begged for. And for the league, this is pure entertainment gold. Storylines will follow every matchup, every sack, every sideline stare down between Bosa and the league's elite signal callers. Win or lose, Miami just became must-watch television. It's a narrative that will stretch beyond football into mainstream culture, because every league needs villains, and every dynasty needs challengers. Bosa has positioned himself to be both at once, a hero in Miami and a nightmare everywhere else. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? But as thrilling as the move is for Dolphins fans, it also raises the stakes to almost unbearable levels. With a contract of this magnitude and expectations this high, there's no room for excuses. Every snap will be scrutinized, every game measured against the promise of dominance. Injuries, fatigue, or even one quiet performance could spark endless debates about whether Miami overcommit. That's the double-edged sword of signing a superstar. The glory is unmatched, but the spotlight is merciless. Bosa himself, however, has always thrived under these conditions. His career has been defined by rising to the moment, by embracing pressure instead of avoiding it. And if there's any city built for that kind of swagger and intensity, it's Miami. The beaches, the nightlife, the bright lights. This is a place where stars either shine or collapse under the weight of expectation. For Bosa, the challenge is clear. Prove that his war cry wasn't just talk, but a prophecy. Prove that the Dolphins didn't just make a bold move, they made the right move. And if he succeeds, he cements his legacy not just as a great defender, but as the face of a new Miami era. From a cultural perspective, this signing transcends football entirely. Miami has always been a city of showmanship, style, and spectacle, but it has also craved substance. For too long, the Dolphins have been caught between nostalgia for the undefeated 1972 team and frustration with modern underachievement. Nick Bosa bridges that gap. He brings the grit that old-school fans admire while carrying the star power that new generations demand. Suddenly, Miami feels like the epicenter of football conversations again, not just because of highlight reel plays, but because of an attitude shift that resonates beyond the field. The idea of declaring war fits perfectly with Miami's identity: bold, brash, unapologetic. It's more than a sports headline. It's a cultural rallying cry for a city that thrives on energy and spectacle. In bars, on street corners, and across social media, the buzz isn't just about winning games. It's about redefining what it means to be a Dolphin in this era. With Bosa leading the charge, Miami doesn't just want to compete in the NFL. They want to reshape how the league sees them, how the nation sees them, and how their fans see themselves. And so here we are, standing at the dawn of a season that already feels different, heavier, and more electric than anything Miami has experienced in decades. Nick Bosa has not only joined the Dolphins, he has rebranded them in an instant. This is no longer the team you casually overlook on the schedule or the squad you expect to fade when the pressure mounts. This is a team armed with a warrior who has promised to terrorize the most important position in football, week after week, until someone finds a way to stop him. And that's the beauty of this story. Maybe someone will, maybe they won't. Maybe quarterbacks will rise to the challenge, or maybe they'll crumble under the relentless pursuit. But either way, the narrative is set, the tension is alive, and the war drums are beating louder than ever in Miami. For fans, rivals, and the league at large, one truth is undeniable. The AFC just got a lot scarier. Nick Bosa is here. The Dolphins have declared their intentions, and the hunt has officially begun. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.